and child protective services, and they won't give them back to their loving families because they're making money.
This is a legal system that you're going into. And if you don't know the rules, you will be chewed up and spit out.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Yeah. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection, okay? And that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
It's okay. It's okay.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child, your flesh and blood.
It doesn't say on this order that it was not proven. It says untrue. I immediately knew that, okay, well, this ain't over.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
I came into this field to help families, not destroy them.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fight CPS with LJ. You'll have to excuse me. I sound a little bit nasally. It's my time, I think, to have a little bit of a cold. So apologize ahead of time. We did have a guest for tonight, but there was some technical difficulties, so it's just you and me. So I hope everybody's doing okay out there. Hope you guys are getting through the day, you know, as best as you can. I know times are hard, and you know, fighting CPS is no small task. So I'm right there with you guys, and feel free to comment or post on the page, message us, and you know, if you want to be on the show, tell your story. You know, let your voice be heard. It matters how you're struggling and how difficult this time is. Sometimes, you know, I think that we forget about the simplistic ways that we can help other people. And that's sometimes just by saying, hey, you doing okay? How are you handling everything that's going on? You know, just ask somebody what they got going on, you know, even if they're not fighting a CPS case, you know, it's just, you know, the compassionate thing to do. Times are hard, and it's tough out here. So I wanted to just kind of like go over a little bit about PTSD. Because this, you know, fighting an organization such as CPS, and you know, losing your children, and kind of getting your life just picked apart and put under a microscope is really difficult to navigate through. And I think that it's very traumatizing for everyone. You know, the entire family truly does suffer. You know, the kids, the parents, you know, the relatives, friends even, you know, and I think it's important to, you know, talk about what you're feeling and kind of what you're experiencing emotionally. I'm definitely not a behavioral expert or behavioral analyst by any means, but I do struggle already with PTSD. I think a lot of you have heard a little bit of my personal background. When I was 18, my mother was murdered by my stepfather of 11 years. And I was the sole surviving witness of that horrific nightmare. And, you know, PTSD is, it's short for post-traumatic stress disorder. Excuse me. And like, I guess I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I think that a lot of people throw this term around just as a normal, you know, stressful situation that they've encountered and claim that they have PTSD over it. And it's sort of upsetting, you know, to hear because, you know, I mean, PTSD is not, you know, exactly what I've experienced myself. It could be any traumatic incident that, you know, was traumatic for you. It could be a loss of a pet, the loss of a child, the removal of a child from your care and custody in your home. And it's definitely something significantly clinical, and it's not just some term that people should just throw around as, you know, their eggs didn't come out the way that they intended to cook them and it gave them PTSD. I've literally heard stuff like that described relating to PTSD, and I didn't like that. And so I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about like the emotional trauma that dealing with a, you know, case plan and removal of your child and you know, just kind of just your life is really turned upside down and it's very traumatic. Whether you're the offending parent, non-offending parent, or not, it doesn't matter. It can affect anybody. I wanted to talk about, I'm going to read some paperwork that I found on PTSD and see what you guys think. And feel free to comment, and we're gonna roll with it. Okay, so PTSD can have physical effects. And this is, so I'm going to read what this says. It says, this could be because when we feel stressed emotionally, our bodies release hormones called cortisol and adrenaline. This is the body's automatic way of preparing to respond to a threat, sometimes called the fight, flight, or freeze response. I'm going to stop right there immediately. I feel like I'm almost stuck in that fight or flight mode. I don't know how you guys might feel, but maybe you can relate. It's kind of like fight or flight all the time, you know, dealing with CPS because you just are not really sure how to navigate such a crazy, overwhelming, and scary process. And, you know, it's not just simple fear of the unknown. It's, I mean, it's truly life-changing to experience the whole process. These physical effects can include things like vivid flashbacks. That's like when you feel like that trauma is just happening right now in the current moment. intrusive thoughts or images, nightmares, intense distress at real or symbolic reminders of the trauma. Even physical sensations like, pain, sweating, nausea, vomiting, trembling, it can truly affect you physically when you are experiencing something so traumatic. A lot of people with PTSD, such as myself, I struggle with alertness. It's like a constant feeling of being on edge. And this is, kind of, it causes you to panic when you think of the trauma. Let's see what else it says. It says sometimes you can feel easily angered or upset. The extreme alertness I was talking about, also sometimes referred to as hypervigilance. Disturbed sleep or lack of sleep. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel like I ever get that like REM sleep, that that deep sleep where I'm off in dreamland. But I keep trying every night. So then it talks about flashbacks and kind of what that's like. It says a flashback is a vivid experience in which you relive some aspects of a traumatic event, or you feel as if it's happening right now. This can sometimes be like watching a video of what happened, but flashbacks do not necessarily involve seeing images or reliving events from start to finish. You might experience any of the following: seeing full or partial images of what happened, noticing sounds or smells. You might taste something that is connected to the trauma. You could be eating an apple and just be thinking, wow, I was just, having an apple with my little one. And now, like, all the apples are still in the fridge, not being eaten by anybody because, like, my baby is not here to enjoy the apple with me, that, like, and even though that, that's kind of a silly example, it truly is what a lot of people struggle with from the trauma of having their child removed, and especially when it happens so unnecessarily. It's truly traumatic, and so we really shouldn't underestimate that trauma and the impact that that's having on every one of us. It says you might notice that particular places, people, or situations can trigger a flashback for you. It can be due to them reminding you of the trauma in some way. Or you might find that flashbacks seem to happen at random. Flashbacks can last for just a few seconds or continue for several hours. I myself have experienced these several hours many times, more than I would like to admit as my reality, but that is so very true. And I could just kind of be doing something normal and not stressful, or just routine, and suddenly, like, sometimes my whole entire scene of what I can see with my naked eye will change, and I relive what happened to my mother, and being involved in a domestic violence situation. And it's scary because, like, I know it's not reality at first, but then you kind of get confused and disoriented, because it's very stressful to relive constantly. It's a struggle, and I definitely in my opinion, if you can get some type of therapy or counseling or some type of emotional support. Like, I know I've touched on this before, but I think it's really important to reiterate how important it is to maintain your emotional well-being, because this is extremely traumatic, and it's not easy to navigate. And you should afford yourself some outlet, some stress relief, and somebody to talk to. If you don't have somebody to talk to that you can trust, try to reach out to a provider, or a support group. I really want to encourage you guys to do that, because navigating it on your own is not probably a good idea, in my opinion, because I did that for a long time after my mother was killed, and I think I struggled a lot more and a lot longer, because I didn't afford myself that outlet. Ashley, yeah, same. Every time I leave a visit, it is so hard, because my little one's like, I don't ever want you to leave me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I will never leave you. Like, it's hard as heck to not break down completely and just have a meltdown when your little one is so upset when you leave a visit. So hang in there, Ashley. Make sure that you give yourself some type of an outlet, somebody to talk to. I mean, you guys, even if it's like the wall in your bathroom or your favorite place, like, just get those emotions out, because holding them in is going to be a lot harder, and it's it's an unnecessary battle that you have to fight on your own. If you can find some type of emotional support. So definitely, very much so, strongly encourage any type of outlet or vent that you can give yourself, to kind of talk about what's going on and how this is very traumatic for you. I think definitely, first and foremost, we're always thinking about the kids, and how they're struggling and being traumatized, and what it must be like for them as little ones. But remember yourself too. Because if you okay, here's a good point. So, like, if you're on an airplane and the airplane goes down, whose oxygen mask do you put on first? Not your kids, yours. Because if you can't breathe, and if you don't have oxygen, how are you going to help anyone else, let alone your baby? So make sure you are taking care of you and reminding yourself that you matter, and the struggles you're facing dealing with your case is hard, and it's okay to say that, because it is. I think too many times, they tell you to not have emotions in the courtroom, and don't show your feelings, when you're around social workers and such, because they use excuse me, they use those things against you, claiming stuff like, if you cry because you're so upset and you can't believe, like, this is happening, they can deem you mentally unstable, not in control of your feelings or emotions, and just lead you down another rabbit hole of case plan tasks, So, let's see. Melena says, Ashley, leaving a visit is always hard. Try to leave it on an upbeat. You don't want your kids leaving sad. And that's a good point. you know, but I want to kind of throw in there also, like, it's okay to be sad around your kid, because it's a natural emotion, but you don't want to be so devastated with despair in front of them. You know, you've got to be as strong as you possibly can, as hard as it is to do so sometimes. But you know, it's okay to be a little bit sad and show that emotion in front of your children, because it's truth. It's, you know, it's real and it's honest. But you don't want to leave your kids that way, you know, because that just makes it really tough on them. And you know, I think, you know, kids really need a lot of help navigating through their emotions. I mean, so do adults, in my opinion, most of the time, because you know, I've seen some adults that just don't handle their emotions well at all. So I just want to give everybody out here props and kudos and all kinds of credit for, like, just standing up as tall as you can, as maddening as this is. Just keep, you know, keep staying strong. Like, you know, pat yourselves on the back for how hard this is and how much you're dealing with and how much of a struggle it is, you know. Yeah, Melina, it is hard all the way around. Melina, so I want to share this. I just won my appeal where CPS admits that they messed up, but I'm still being treated like I'm the problem. And now the foster parents are throwing their emotions at me, angry that I haven't been there. Isn't that just terrible? Like, I mean, the way people are treating other people in the worst possible time in their life, you know, I mean, it's just sickening. How you know, people are taking advantage of that and manipulating it and distorting it and making it something completely what it's not. It's truly just, I mean, it's disgusting. And that's why I wanted to talk so much about emotions and how important it is to, like, remind yourself that, like, you are struggling and it is hard and it completely sucks and dot dot dot, lots of other bad stuff that I could say, that this situation is. But hang in there, you know, you guys are doing it. Like, we are getting through somehow. I'm not sure how half the time, because it's like hard. Ashley says she never sees me cry. I do it alone in my car. Well, I'm sorry, Ashley. Like, that's hard. It really is. And especially when you feel so, you know, like, I mean, I literally was so fearful of expressing any kind of emotion about, like, how sad and stuck in just, like, lost in despair I was, you know. Like, we should be able to express that in some way, just not definitely in court. You know, you don't want to do that in front of your social worker, because they will twist it and they will, however they can. Like, you don't want to give them any ammunition, you know. So I don't. At first, when I, you know, heard others talking about, you know, not expressing your emotions like that in court or in front of your social worker, I was like, why? What the heck? Like, why? I'm not gonna bullshit my emotions about what has been done to my child and me and my family. Like, why would I do that? I'm not gonna lie, you know. But you don't have to lie. You need to hold it together and show, you know, that you have control over, you know, handling those emotions, and that they don't completely consume and overwhelm you to the point where you could be, you know, deemed not fit because you're so emotionally unstable. You know, I mean, I've seen and heard that happen so many times because parents are so upset by how they have just been ripped apart. And, you know, I mean, it's reasonable and rational and logical to me to be completely overwhelmed and consumed with just all kinds of emotions and frustrations when this is going on. But like I said, and like you'll hear all kinds of everywhere that you get information about fighting a CPS case, like it will be used against you. And it's a terrible thing, but it is the truth, you know. And Melina, yes, oh my goodness, I forgot to mention, congratulations on your appeal. That is amazing. Like round of applause. That's awesome. Like just amazing. And I hope everybody has that type of luck with their case. And it's not probably much to do with luck, Melina. It's probably a lot to do with how hard you worked and what you did to turn that around for you and your family. So awesome job. That's amazing. I love hearing great news like that. She says her attorney did nothing. Lucky the appeal was done in another city, and that's what helped me. This county I live in has a problem with me because of rumors. Isn't that ridiculous? Like, I mean, hearsay is allowed in dependency court. When I heard that, I was like dumbfounded. I'm like, what do you mean hearsay is allowed in, like, the judicial system? How the hell is that justice? People can say anything about anybody. And like the fact that it could be used against you in fighting for your child is just insane to me, Ashley says, I feel that I'm going to be battling custody case with the foster family because they're going to fight for custody, saying that they are bonded to her since she hasn't been living with me. Ashley, I struggle kind of with that also because I have the same situation. My son is, with my sister. So that's really, really tough because I know what's going to be said, and that, he's bonded to her and whatever, but you're the mama. There's nobody besides maybe dad in his own sense of, familia, that is much bonded as you and your baby. You grew that baby, you gave birth to that baby. That is a bond no one can ever take from you, no matter how much they try to convince you of how well bonded they are. Great, wonderful. I'm glad my child was supported in the way that they deserved, at least somewhere, someone. But the fact of the matter is, the bond that's the strongest is always going to be me. I think you dads would agree also, for you guys going through that by yourself. You dads out there, same premise. There's nobody stronger or bonded than mom and dad. I think that it's possible to achieve a very strong bond with foster families and guardians and other situations, but I know in my case, my child is way more bonded with me than ever, and which is kind of amazing because I literally had, throughout most of my case was given very minimal visitation just based on, everybody was busy. And, up until I worked up to unsupervised visits, and, that couldn't happen fast enough. And it took like a year. So that was a very long, exhausting, hard road, because I mean, that's my baby, like you have them 100% of the time, and then CPS comes in and they give you like 5% of the time with them, regards to visitation. It makes zero sense, and that somehow is entitled reunification. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I just I mean, I disagree with that in some ways, but I see it in other ways, So it says the foster family has my kid, call them mom and dad. Ashley, my sister, has my child doing the same thing. And that is really, really hard, because no, that you're not mommy, you're his aunt. And you feel completely replaced, and it's so violating. And kind of, there's just no words for like how much that hurts when that happens. But all you can do, all I did really is I didn't always correct him, because I didn't want him to be upset or like experience any kind of feelings that he was doing something wrong, or that I was upset with, or anything like that. So I was very gentle about it, and just kind of, there was a point where he started calling me by my first name. And that, I think, was definitely one of the worst points of language I've heard from him. And he's little, so that was tough. But he's changed it back around. And even with, in the beginning of my case with minimal visits, I still somehow am immensely like strengthened in my bond with my child, because I think of what we've gone through and how much we miss each other in between. And I mean, the love that we have for each other is just undeniable, and he knows who mama is. And so if that's, how it's going to be for now, I there's really nothing I can do about it, other than continue to be there consistently, loving him, and reminding him, mommy's always here. Mommy's always going to come back, and mommy's going to, like, I always think in my brain, like, I'm coming for you, boy. It's like, but I unfortunately, like, I struggled with, not dealing with my trauma and my PTSD. And I think, kind of unfortunate as it is, I was able to address it in a healthy manner, dealing with a case plan. And, it's not the way I wish it would have gone down, but I mean, I've really grown a lot, and learned so much, because like I put in that effort, to really work on my mental health. So important, to work on that and to not let it go. And I kind of did, and let my PTSD go unaddressed for a very long time. And that can affect your family, your friends, I mean, your coworkers. It can affect everyone. But you don't want it to affect your children, so if you do struggle with PTSD or anything, you can experience something traumatic and not necessarily have, PTSD. Like, you don't have to put a label on everything like society likes to do nowadays, seemingly. But, I definitely, I have uh, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I struggled with it for a very long time, and I just didn't, kind of threw it away like it wasn't happening. And now that I've really like dove in and like started talking about it, with my therapist, which is another hard point too, because you got to find somebody that you trust to talk to about stuff like this. Because it's hard. It's hard to talk about how you're struggling emotionally, because a lot of people don't like to share that kind of thing. It's you're vulnerable. You worry that somebody's going to use those emotions against you, and so just like I said, if you don't have anybody you trust to talk about what you're going through and your trauma, or your PTSD, if you have PTSD, then get some way to have an outlet. It's so important, and I can't stress that enough. Hold on, I want to go back here because Ashley and Melina are like giving some amazing comments here, and I want to address them. No, these are parents that have gone through the process and they are there. Susan says it's very traumatic, but stay strong as you can. Get your babies back. 100%. Yes. Thank you, Susan. Ashley says, my social worker has not given any more time since day one. Only get 12 hours a week when I have completed all case plan services. Ashley, same with me. Mine was all finished, done, and then some. And I was getting minimal visits, and it they had no good excuses other than everybody's busy, and it's when when they have the time. Well, no, like you guys need to make time because it's very important, especially if your kids are like younger or littler, to have frequent and consistent and continued contact with their parents. That's so important. And I mean, it's really important at any age of a child, but it's really so important for the little ones, because it does affect their developmental abilities and the way that they deal emotionally and mentally as they are growing so rapid when they're little tiny, so it's hard when they give you just the bare minimum. But I mean, you don't know what to do, kind of to help that, because I didn't. I mean, mine was little, and CPS was nervous that I wasn't going to protect our child from his father, who he was arrested for something, but it never made sense to me why, because he was arrested, that meant he or I could not be reasonably assumed to be safe, to be caring for our child. I don't know if I'll ever understand their concept of what they think, an arrest means and how it supposedly deems you completely unsafe or dangerous, which some cases are. Some things, people do are horrible, dangerous, and should deem them, unfit to safely be, supervising their child by themselves. But I think that I've seen a lot more often that people are dealing with, you know, they messed up. They made a pretty bad mistake, but, you know, like, people mess up, you know, there are mistakes that are made all over the world all the time. And it does not necessarily mean that you can't be like near your child, except for a minimal amount of time that CPS deems is supposedly appropriate, which I think is not at all appropriate, because 12 hours, what did you say? It was 12 hours a month? I mean, like, that's nothing. I don't like it. I never have and never understood it. Susan said, Ashley, you can tell when a social worker lies, their mouth moves. I like that one. That's good. That's sort of really true. You know what I heard the other day is it was on some social media site, and I just kind of randomly came across it, and it said, you know, shame on everybody for talking bad about CPS. They're overworked and underpaid, and they're doing their best. Well, who the hell are you to say that? Like, my social worker is not underpaid. She drove up in my house and pulled up in a brand new Tesla. That's not underpaid. I mean, I damn sure can't afford one of those. I mean, maybe overworked, but I mean, in her own admission, she had, you know, minimal cases to deal with. I didn't like that comment at all. That bothered me. So I just to just always remember, number one, take care of you, and you matter. You're important. Your kids need you to maintain that strength, because we're the parents. We got to show them kind of how to navigate through this horrendous situation, and we don't really even know how. So you guys just take care of yourselves and maintain that emotional support. I was going to keep reading about PTSD, but I think you guys kind of get it all too well. It's just, it's traumatic, and it's hard to navigate, and just, you're not alone. You know, even if you guys come post on my page, you know, come be a guest on my show. I don't care if you've been a guest on the show before. Come on back. You're more than welcome to come back. Like, I would love to have you guys again. You know, just don't go at this alone, because you're not alone. So I'm gonna end it a little bit early tonight. I apologize, you guys. Like I said, it was well overdue for me to come down with a cold. And I just, I think it's been like, I don't know, like 6 years since I've had a cold. So I want to thank you guys for all your comments, and, you know, talking about how you are struggling, and just kind of, you know, somehow navigating through this nightmare. And I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of you. But, you know, keep the good fight, stay strong. Your kids need you to be strong for them, and reach out if you need to talk or vent or complain. Let me know. You know, I'm here for you guys. You guys help me just by, you know, coming on and leaving comments such as you have. So thank you so much for all the support, and feel free to keep them coming, and like and share our page. All we can do is keep our voices loud and let them be heard, so we can share what is going on around this world. So you guys hang in there and stay strong, and I'm going to see you next week. So join me again. If you want to be my guest, please leave me a message. And I'd love to have you. Come tell your story because it matters and you matter. Stay strong, you guys. Take care. Have a good night.